Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you are new here, welcome, because today we are talking about decluttering and right sizing and talking about stuff. That's what we're talking about today. If you are back again because you are looking for some pick me up and to help you get motivated and stay motivated, as you guys know, you are, of course, in the right place. So we're going to jump right in and get started today. If you have any questions, please hold on until the end. You are welcome to put them in the chat, or at the end, you are welcome to just unmute yourselves. So whatever you feel comfortable with. My name is Olga St Pierre. I am a licensed real estate agent with practice in New Jersey as well as Pennsylvania. And we have been helping our clients move across the United States and Canada for the last 16 years. And really, our mission is to help anyone with the desire and a dream of becoming a homeowner, for that dream to come true. And then once you're there, as you go through your life stages, we are right there with you to help you being a sustainable and responsible homeowner, and also help you make your life just a little bit easier. And I think you'll agree with me that this is something that's all of us are striving for, because we all have a million things that we need to do every day. Part of that is being there for you with our virtual Yellow Pages concierge service. So think of it this way. Yellow Pages has all the possible information that you may need, anyone that you can possibly think of. Well, we have that too for you. These are the list of reputable contractors, financial professionals, just muscle to help you, organizers, anyone that you can think of. You can always call me or text me, say, hey, Olga, do you have someone for this? Because this is what I am working on. And I'm more than happy to help you, point you in the right direction, or provide you those resources. So let's jump right in and talk about decluttering, because I think for a lot of people, it seems to be so overwhelming. It seems like this big elephant in the room, and a lot of people just end up pushing it aside because of these couple of questions. A lot of the times, we just don't know where to start. It could be that we have been in our home for 20, 30, or 40 years, and we all know that we have accumulated a lot of stuff. If it's left alone, it's going to be growing over time, as you know that. And a lot of that has to do with paperwork. If you think about it, we have mail that comes into our homes 5 to 6 days a week, except for Sundays or holidays. Yet, if we don't really get a good grasp on paper, that's all just going to get bigger and better piles. And we all have stuff, and 80% of that stuff we rarely use. I think I'm going to give you some nuggets today that are really going to resonate with you and maybe have that light bulb moment or that little check mark goes on. And that really is my goal, for you to take some of the information that we have today, which is a lot. It covers everything from start to finish in your home in terms of decluttering. And yet, what I invite you to do is not get overwhelmed by all of the information that I'm sharing, but just take a couple of things that make sense to you to help you, whether you're in the beginning of your journey or you're somewhere in the middle, or you just need a little bit of a push or a hand on your shoulder to help you keep going to finish up. So the 80-20 rule that I mentioned to you actually applies in many areas of our lives. If you think about it, especially with clothes, you only wear 20% of the stuff that you hang in your closet. So as you listen through, and then as you process and decide on what you are going to start implementing from today's workshop, just think about this rule and see how that will apply directly to you. And with time, as we keep going, our stuff becomes too much and it's painful. And sometimes it's easier just to walk away. And then we start asking ourselves is where to start, what are we going to keep and why and for how long? And remember, our brain is designed to protect us. So the brain is going to say, well, you know what, just don't worry about it today. There's always tomorrow, because they want to protect you. And protecting means that it's probably going to be put aside again and again and again. So did you guys know? I learned an interesting fact actually yesterday. I was doing some more research, but an average person owns 300,000 pieces of stuff in their house. I thought that was a really, really weird number. And I started thinking about this, and I'm like, 300,000 pieces. No wonder a lot of people struggle, because can you imagine decluttering 300,000 pieces? Yet, a lot of the times, the reason why people don't actually make a move is because of all the stuff that they have it, they just don't know what to do with. So my suggestion to you is, whether you tell me, Olga, I have no plans on moving, that's perfectly okay. Yet I guarantee you, when the time comes, because it will, it's a lot easier for you to make that move knowing that you have been decluttering all along. Maybe a little bit of the time, maybe just every trash and recycle day, than trying to do it in a few months because you now have a time frame. So remember what I told you about 300,000 pieces of stuff that you probably all have in our homes. Things in our lives do affect us on two levels, and they absolutely affect us on our physical and emotional level, on a health level, and they affect our happiness, our health, productivity, all of those things, because the studies have been done and has been a proven fact. So if you think that decluttering is just something hip and you saw a influencer talking about it on TikTok or Instagram, it is not. Our stuff can really be a damper on a lot of things. It can be a focus disruptor. It can also prevent us from getting good night's rest, and then we all walk around like zombies. It can be a source of family problems and disagreements and uncomfort. And it can also create a lot of issues that have to do with the integrity of your home, which for most of us is the biggest investment that we own, and we really should be protecting it. I see it every day when I'm working with clients. So my suggestion to you is, when you are looking at things and you are just deciding on what are we doing, realize that most of the time, the stuff that we have is going to affect us most of the time on a subconscious level. And that is the level that we don't really think about. It's the stuff that we do on autopilot. This is our habits that we have on a regular basis. It's like having and using your computer that we're all on right now, or a phone. And as you know, in order for these tech products to work well, they all have to have background software and things running on a regular basis. Well, that is constantly running. It's constantly using electricity. It's constantly using energy. And this is exactly the same way that our stuff weighs us down. Okay. So if you are here, and there's quite a few are here, and I'm so happy to see you, that means that the clutter bothers you, and that really is a ding that you are ready for change. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. We're going to start slowly. We're going to start creating your decluttering plan, and we're going to start with just putting one foot in front of the other. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to take our calendars and we're going to set up an appointment, just like you do that for when you are heading to the doctors because you need your blood work to get done, or it's your annual appointment with your specialist, or something else you know is important. You need to get that appointment on the books. That is exactly the same thing you're going to do, and you're going to call this appointment my decluttering appointment. Doesn't have to be anything complicated. We're going to make it very simple. And I promise you that by the end of this workshop, my goal is to take all of your excuses and the whining out of the equation, so that way you have nothing else left that is going to prevent you and say, well, just got to do it because all of my excuses have been thrown out the window during this workshop. So we're going to set aside 1 hour for our first appointment. And my suggestion to you is do it first thing in the morning, because that is really when we have our energy, when it's sun is shining, and we haven't been buckled down yet with the other stuff and the crap that is going to creep up and is going to pile on our shoulders. We know it, it's going to happen. So do it first thing in the morning after you had your breakfast. Next, we are going to get a timer ready, because we are going to time ourselves, that we're going to do this for an hour. And we're also going to take away distractions, which means that we're going to take our cell phones And we're going to put it on the silent mode so that way it doesn't ring, jingle, vibrate, or anything else at all that is going to get you distracted. I don't know about you guys, but boy, do I see a lot of squirrels every day. And for this 1 hour, we just cannot see any squirrels running around. That's what we're going to do. Also, the good thing is that when you're decluttering, guys, this is like a workout. So since you know that we all need to move at least 30 minutes a day, whatever that may be, maybe a walk, it may be walking your dog, it could be stretching, something. Decluttering is also a workout. So it's 2-for-1 special, and I think it's amazing, which means you need to be in your comfortable clothing, yoga pants, something that is going to be helpful to you. Again, I don't want you to have an excuse of getting into it in 10 minutes and saying, oh crap, this is just not comfortable, it's itchy or whatever, and now I need to go change. Nope. We're putting on our comfortable clothes right away. We're also going to eat ahead, and we're going to have a couple bottles of water sitting handy, again, so that way we're not getting distracted. And next up, think about what are some of the things that can help you and energize you. If you want, have a candle that smells really nice and light it up. If you want, open up some blinds, let in some light, or open up the window to get that fresh air so you can hear the birds chirping. Turn on some music. Whatever you decide to do, whatever makes sense to you, that's what you're going to do as well. And as you guys know, you also need a notebook or a piece of paper. Again, don't overcomplicate it. Something, a paper and a pen to write your notes on the progress that you're making, to make a list of things that you need to finish up, accomplish, so that way you don't forget as you are going through your appointment. Okay. Next up, we're just going to have some basic things that we're going to put together for this appointment. Again, I don't want you to overcomplicate things and say, well, you know what? I don't have the bins. I don't have the Post-it notes. I can't do it. Absolutely not. The only thing you really need is 4 corners of a room, and all of you 100% have it. So trash bags, you can do recycle bags. If you don't have storage bins, you can use bags. If you don't have bags, use 4 corners of a room, because that's how we're going to separate things that we're working on in that 1 hour of the time. If you have Post-it notes, great. They're great for labeling. If you don't, you can use a piece of paper. It doesn't have to be, again, complicated. And what we're going to do is just create 4 general categories. If you want to make them a little bit more specific later, you can do that. But for the first appointment, that is it. 4 categories, which are things I'm keeping and I'm going to put them away, things I'm going to donate, and then undecided pile, and then throw away or sell. That's it. Now, the goal is after an hour not to have everything in your undecided pile. It doesn't work like that. The goal is for you to have something in each of those categories in each of the corners of the room if you're choosing to go in that direction. So as you're doing things, keep these guidelines in line. Things that bring you joy, make you smile, make you happy, you're excited to keep, you're going to keep, because that is supporting your vision of what you're doing in the first place. Things that you're kind of like feeling meh about, or maybe you're not sure, or what is this? I haven't seen it in a long time. I don't even know when the last time I used it. We're going to put in the pile of anything but keeping. And I also encourage you to trust your gut, to trust your tummy, to trust your instinct, intuition, whatever it is that looks good to you, because that is your, if your first instinct is for you, I don't need it, that is what you're going to use, because I guarantee you then your brain is going to kick in, and that logical thing is going to say, well, what if you're going to need it 5 years from now? Or what if with this piece of paper you're going to need 10 years from now? I don't want you to listen to that part of your brain. I want you to listen to your intuition, because your first thought that is going to come when you look at that thing, that is really going to be the best decision that you're going to make. So you're going to stay focused for your time block, and you're going to use a regular kitchen timer to help you stay focused, or a microwave timer, or a oven timer. Any kind of timer that is simple, that is not attached to your phone, is going to be your goal. And when you're done, that 1 hour, you're going to pat yourself on the back, you're going to grab your notebook, and this is where my suggestion to you is just write what you have accomplished. This is the room that I worked in. This is how I started. This is what I got through. Perhaps you have some stuff that may need to be given to family members or friends. Maybe you have a pile of things that need to be donated. Then as you wrap up, you're going to take the stuff for the donation and you're going to put it by your front door. This is what I do, is I take the stuff that needs to go out of my house and I put it by the front door. So either myself or my husband literally need to trip over it before you get out of the door, or you need to pick it up in order for you to open the door, which means that it's already in your hands and it's going out of your house. Right? So what I also want you to realize is that, number one, that 1 hour, you're not going to be able to clean up the whole house or the whole room, or it could be that you just focus on one box, and that's perfectly okay, because 1% better is already progress. And this is how I am asking you to think about. A little bit at a time, one foot in front of the other is going to get you to that end, because you're going to just keep moving little by little every time you have these appointments. And that's, I think, is an important thing to remember, because a lot of people get frustrated. They say, well, I only got through one drawer, or I couldn't even finish that. That's okay. As long as you got started and you made some progress because you actually spent an hour on this, that is amazing. And you should absolutely celebrate and pat yourself on the back. So as we go through, we're going to spend some time on different parts of the house, which may or may not apply to you. And I invite you to take each of these pages, which we will share with you, as well as the recording on this workshop, so that way you can decide if kitchen is part of your list of places, rooms that you want to work on. Great. Take this as a guide and use some of these suggestions as ideas on what's going to work for you, because all of your spaces and my space are going to be different and it may not work for everybody. So as an example, in the kitchen, we're going to focus on just tackling one drawer, one door, one shelf at a time. That's all. That's all is the expectation that you need to give yourself. Also, don't forget about a refrigerator. If you want to start there, may not be a bad idea, because we are in our kitchen probably 300 times a day. And boy, those doors of the refrigerator get used very, very often, especially if you work from home or if you have children or grandchildren. So if you decide to go with refrigerator in the beginning, that's perfectly okay. So start out with throwing away expired food, doing some cleaning, and then decide on designated spaces. If you want to use labels, that's perfectly okay, because it seems to me, I don't know how it is in your family, but my family never remembers where things go. It's the same spot for milk, the same spot for ketchup, and I find that stuff just shoved somewhere, right? But if you label it, I think that might be just a little bit helpful for them. So for leftovers, you can do something that's eye level, and you can label it as Eat Me Now. Fruits and veggies have their own spaces, drinks and condiments on the doors. And if you have a system set up for that, I guarantee you're also going to be able to save money, because you'll be able to see that you're running out of ketchup or you're running out of milk, and then you can put that on your grocery list to take with you. Next, use clear glass or plastic storage containers. Things can get organized easily. Glass containers, I love using pasta sauce or pickle jars, because you already bought the glass and you already have it. And glass is always better because you can put on the lid and it's nice and tight. Next, as you're going through your things, I invite you to look through and see really how many cups and serving utensils and plates and other things that you really need on a regular basis. So that's one. And two, also inspect those things that you use on a regular basis, because we often don't think about it, because again, it's done on a habit. But if you look inside your cup, a lot of times you'll see that maybe some things are chipped or something is cracked. Or if you cook all the time like I do, I use my plastic and my spatulas and my wood scrapers and things like that. They get used all the time, which means that they are probably start to go to do wear and tear. And could it be perhaps the time for me to dispose of them, maybe to recycle them, and then get some new ones, because we're cooking on a regular basis. And the last item on this list is looking through your gadgets and your things that you only use once a year. I can assure you that you can open up a avocado or peel and cut the pineapple, and you don't need a special gadget. You can do that with a knife. You just need to take your time and do it right, or you can watch a YouTube video on how to do that. You don't need a special gadget that is going to occupy a precious space in your kitchen drawer where it could be used for something that makes more sense to you that you use on a more regular basis. And then when you went through all the stuff, and that's going to apply to every other room in your home, I want you to look at the space that you currently have and ask yourself, what kind of systems can I implement to help myself so that way the space works better for me? Use up all the airspace, look in the closets, use the doors, figure out maybe some expandable, stackable organizers, lid organizers, hooks, door organizers, lots of different ideas that you can think of that don't have to be expensive. You can use, again, the things that you use on a regular basis, containers, coffee cans, things like that, and decide on how you can make those things work for you. As we head into the bathroom, same kind of focus is, especially, bathrooms are even smaller than kitchens. So how can we do a 360 around our space and ask ourselves, what can we do? What kind of systems can we implement that these things are going to work for me? So I would start out with the stuff that I have, which is throwing away the products that are older than a year, most likely. Same thing with medicine, checking on expiration dates, dropping that stuff off to the police department, and then setting up your systems. So your morning routine can be in one container, your evening routine can be in a different container. So think about what is it that you use on a regular basis, and absolutely have a system, especially for under your sink. People don't use all that airspace that we have between the floor and the actual vanity and the sink. What organizers can we put in there to help you use up all that space? Same thing, like the space between your vanity and the toilet, things that we can use, the doors for towels, lots of different things. And this is where like command hooks and shelves can be very, very helpful. Now we're heading into the bedrooms. Remember, your bedroom is your peaceful place. And if you're not sleeping well, it could be because of all the crap and the stuff that you have that is surrounding you. Because again, it takes energy for your brain to calm you down and to help you ignore and avoid the stuff around you. So think about that as something to brainstorm if you're going to be working in your bedrooms. Of course, we're heading into your closet. If you guys thought that I was just going to quietly kind of put that aside and brush it off, nope, that's not happening, because for many of us, our closet is a problem child. And I have included some questions here for you because I want you to be honest with yourself, because if you look in your closet, probably only 20% of it gets worn and used. So these are the questions that I want you to even jot down in your notebook or look through. And your closet is probably going to take you a couple of these appointments to get through, and that's perfectly okay as long as you get started. So as you look through your stuff, ask yourself, is it still fitting me? Have I worn it for the last 12 to 15 months? Do I plan on wearing it again? Does it make me happy when I wear it? Is it in style? Or is it my style? Because that's more important, in my opinion. If it's damaged, am I going to fix it? Or could I potentially have a couple of pieces that I can use to work in the backyard, and then the rest of it I can donate? And if I was to shop right now, would I actually buy this? So food for thought. And then put in a bin or a box in your closet. And sometimes it's hard to do it right away and to put it in the donation pile, and that's okay. Use that box to put stuff in there, and then at the end of the month, if you still feel okay with it being in the bin and you haven't worn it, then it's time for it to be donated. And also remember, it doesn't mean that, well, I can't buy any clothes now because I don't have space. Yes, you can, and that's okay, just to be conservative about it. And at the same time, if you're going to buy one or two pieces, that also means that you need to donate and take out two pieces because you only have a limited space to work with in your closet. So With the closet space, the same thing. I can't tell you how many times I see those wire shelves that are just sitting on the top, and you have all this wasted space at the bottom and all the way to the top of the ceiling. So I encourage you to invest in organizer kits, into something depending on the space that you have, especially if you're like in an older home, maybe you're renting and you have a very small closet space. Decide on how that can work for you, including using your doors. Here's some other suggestions for you that I included, that if you do not have a lot of closet space, you can find these great IKEA wardrobes that are really good, and they have doors, which means that your goodies are going to be protected as well. Living room and family rooms. So here I encourage you to focus on a couple of things. That is paper. So books and magazines, as well as your pillows and blankets, things that we use on a regular basis, especially if you have cats and dogs who love to lay on pillows, like pretend that they're like humans. Going through your pictures, things like that, and maybe it's time for you to update those things. And also don't forget your cords, remotes, things like that, electronic related things. The technology changes so quickly that sometimes we don't realize that we still have cords to maybe the phones or other products that we don't use, or maybe they're just not even good anymore. So go through all those things. It also is a good idea for you to hide some of the things that we use even on a regular basis, maybe inside the entertainment centers, or put stuff inside the ottomans. We can use boxes to hide and organize your remotes and keys, just things like that, so that way your place looks calm and tidy. And here are some other suggestions that we found for you for tricks, especially for small places. You can absolutely make them work for you. You just have to kind of think outside the box and maybe get some ideas on what's available. These are all the things that I have seen in other houses as well as online, just to give you some ideas. And here's some more. If you have space under your bed, are you guys using it to store stuff, or do you just vacuum there once a year just to get rid of the dust? I love some of these creative ways of people doing that, and some of these are just pretty as well too. I'm not very creative. What I am good at is trying to see what others are doing it and then implementing, or in this case, sharing it with you. Now look, so here's some more toy clutter hacks too. And that is a big one too for moms who are trying to, or if they don't have a lot of space and what they're trying to do is just have a little bit of clarity and having maybe a kids corner in the living room or family room, yet having clear boundaries. So being able to do these things and they're just kind of keeping it in a certain area of the room, I think is also going to be handy. Now we're heading into your garage, basement, and shed. And here is where I am going to encourage you to not only use your floor, but also think about all the space that you have on the ceiling and your walls. This is where these heavy duty organizers that you can hang to your ceiling will come in handy. Organizers that you can put on your walls are very handy. And especially if you think about it, the basement, where if something happens to your sump pump, you may get some water. This is where I always recommend that you have things off of the floor in your basement. Also, I don't recommend you using like cardboard boxes in the basement or the garage, because cardboard is a natural material, which means it's going to be prone to mold. So I'm a big believer on using plastic totes. If they're clear, it's even better. If not, that's okay, because you can label everything. So in your spaces, you can have designated zones for different things. It could be your sporting equipment, it could be your car care, maintenance, gardening, decorations, things like that. So that way everything is organized as well as protected. Now let's talk about that paper. Remember the paper that I mentioned that is probably just a pain in the butt for quite a few of us. You need to come up with a plan and a system on how you're going to stay on top of it. As you can imagine, because of my business, I have a lot of papers, and also I'm required to keep these papers for 7 years after the client's transaction is over. So that way, if there's any questions from anyone, I can easily reach out. So as you can imagine, I have very good systems because I only have limited space and I have a lot of files to keep track of. So some things I still keep as papers, but what I also do is I make sure that I scan everything because paper fades, receipts fade, and it's important to keep certain things that are important to you, receipts for warranty, important documents, things that you may need for taxes. So I encourage you to figure out the system that's going to work for you, depending on how much paper you actually have coming in to your own life and your own household. This is an important slide. I recommend that you print it for yourself, put it in the refrigerator, put it in your office, because people have asked me before is, well, how long should I keep stuff? How long should I keep certain papers? And this is just a good guide for you to look at. And what I want to point out to you are really the two important or most important points are towards the bottom. One is called Keep Forever, and the other one is called Always Shred. So keep forever is the pile of things that are important, that if you were to lose them, they would be either impossible to replace or very difficult to replace. If you don't have a box for these documents now, this could be one of the first things that you work on. So think about legal documents, wills, marriage certificates, death certificates, divorce papers, stocks, bond certificates, real estate investments, copies of important things, anything and everything that if you tell yourself, if you pick up that piece of paper and say, this is important to me, this should be in this category. How do I suggest you keep it? If you either going to put it in a safety deposit box in the bank you can rent, or if you want to have full control over it, I suggest that you invest in a safe that is fireproof and it's going to be sitting somewhere where you can easily access it. You will have a key nearby, and this is something that you can invest in and purchase it on Amazon. I've seen it at Costco, and even at Home Depot and Lowe's. And the last category has to do with shredding. Identity theft is huge. And I think as technology advances, I think it's only going to get worse. So we really do need to be diligent about the information that we get in the mail and how do we dispose of it. So if you have even a second of doubt and ask yourself, what should I do with this paper? You should be shredding it. I have a very basic shredder that I purchased at Amazon that I've had for a few years. So I just put all the papers on top, and then once a week or once every few weeks, depending on how big my pile gets, I shred everything. And then the shredded paper, because it has ink, is not something that you can recycle. It just goes straight in the trash. Recycling is really easy. And what I recommend that you do is take advantage of your weekly or your twice a week schedule, depending on where you live and your township requirements. But please understand that there are also other systems that are available to you. You just have to check and see what's available for you on the town. If you have Staples or Office Depot nearby, or if you have your county specific recycling events that happen. Like, for example, in my area, they happen every springtime and every fall. It could be shredding event. It could be hazard recycling, where you can get rid of your spray cans and certain paint and propane tanks. And it could also be electronics recycling, because you can't just put that in the trash nowadays. So check and see what's available around you, and it's specific, of course, to you, what it is that you are trying to get rid of yourself. So now let's talk a little bit about what are we doing with those 4 piles. Remember, we had our throwaway, sell, donate, and keep things. So for throwaway, I already gave you some ideas. Use your everyday trash and recycle for sure. If you wanted to actually retain services like 1-800-GOT-JUNK, I would suggest that you put them on the back burner because they're not cheap. And then, of course, take advantage of what your county offers as well. What about these things? I think a lot of us have challenges with getting rid of things that have been passed down to us with families, things that were entrusted in us, and things that we want to keep because they remind us of our families, of our loved ones. And I get it. It is not easy to do. I completely understand. But my suggestion to you is to create collages, to take pictures of those items, convert your photos and albums into digital library to make sure that you preserve those. In my opinion, that's the most important thing. And also just remind yourself that you're not casting these memories and heirlooms aside. What you're doing is just creating breathing room in your current life and freeing yourself of that extra weight of the stuff that sits in the attic and the basement, and giving yourself opportunity to create your own memories that you can then share with your families. Selling and donating, lots of options available. Of course, if you're donating, you can find your local thrift stores, your local Salvation Army, Goodwill to do that. You can sell things. There's lots of apps that are available on social media, Facebook Marketplace, or you can hire an estate sale company or even do it online like a company called Max Sold. And I want to also give you some final thoughts, because I think the goal for all of us is not to do this mountain of work on a regular basis. I think you guys will agree with me. What we're trying to do is make your life easier, not more complicated, and have this project that nobody looks forward to. So how do we do that? We do it by maintaining our cleanliness and doing a little bit every time. I think I do this on everyday basis, just a little bit here and there when I have some free time, or I'm going downstairs, I'm going upstairs, right? I take advantage of those and take things up or down. So sort your basket that maybe you designate for your clutter and just do it once a week. You have a designated maybe space in by your front door where you put your keys, or you have your incoming or outgoing mail, as an example. Schedule a few times a year to donate the household items that you may no longer use or need. I suggest that you keep a box. It can be any kind of box. It could be an Amazon box. Put it in your laundry, put it in your shed, put it in your basement, put it on top of the stairs, so that way visually it's a reminder for you to say, oh, you know what? I saw this thing. I don't even know what it is. I know I kept it for a year because I promised myself to see if I'm going to need it. I don't need it. I'm going to throw it in the box. And when that box is full, it's out the door. It goes. One in, one out rule. If you buy something, you're going to have to take something out, whatever it may be. Deciding on that paperwork filing system, and also having a system for the incoming mail. I can tell you that my rule of thumb that I decided for myself is this. I have 3 piles. One is the pile that is the mail that I need to review and go through. That goes into one drawer. My whole family knows where it is. Another one is for the things to shred, and the other one is for recycle. That's it. I have nothing else. And then those flyers that we get that come in for like grocery circulars, I have a basket in the dining room where it goes. So what I do is when it comes in for the next week, I go there, put that in, I take out the old one, it goes into the recycle pile. Very easy. That is my system that works for me. Set your tidying appointments on the regular basis. You know what? If you're waiting for the pasta to boil for dinner, you know you have 12 minutes. How can you use those 12 minutes most effectively and just do a little bit of cleanup? It could be loading, unloading the dishwasher. It could be just tidying up the countertop. It could be vacuuming. Make yourself a game. What can I accomplish in 12 minutes so I can prove to my children that it does not take 2 hours to empty the dishwasher? You guys know what I'm talking about. Organization relieves mental and emotional stress. My daughter told me recently, she looked at me, she's like, Mom, are you rage cleaning? Yes, I was. So I take out some of my frustration that I have is when I do a little bit of organization and I clean. So make it worth it, make it count. Aesthetics and visual organizations is absolutely calming to you. We don't realize it, but on the subconscious level, it really does affect us that way. And systems are very helpful. And the goal again is to have them to simplify your life. So clutter equals stress, space is everything, and organizing is an investment. And that is how I invite you to think about it. So the ultimate decluttering question is this. If dog poop got on this item, would I try to wash it off, or would I just throw it away? So I want you to keep this question handy when you are embarking on your journey, when you have your appointment. Ask yourself, if you're not sure, this should be the question that maybe you write down in your notebook or put it on a sticky note so that way it's in front of you as you are working through your own project. So here are your action steps. Have your notebook or a piece of paper, and I invite you to jot down some of the thoughts. What is it that you want to do? What room? What's bothering you? What are your concerns? Maybe you are thinking about moving, you just don't know what to do with your stuff. Perhaps you may need to ask somebody to help because you're not in the physical condition to do it yourself. And that could be an organizer, it could be a friend, whatever it may be. If you have a deadline, what does that look like? I also encourage you to purchase this painter's tape to mark and sort larger items. A lot of people that I recommended it to have found it very helpful because it has different colors and you can designate things based on the color. As an example, green could be things that you're keeping, red is stuff to trash, orange, it could be to donate, yellow to family, blue, it could be undecided, and purple, something else. Next up, after you're done with this workshop, the goal is for you to set your appointment. So if you have Saturday and Sunday off from work, I suggest that you do it on Saturday morning when you're not tired and you are starting your day. And I encourage you to use this workshop booklet that I shared with you as a handy room by room guide to help you get started and then make progress as you go through your journey, because all of you are going to have different journey that you are embarking on. So don't try to do it all at once. Don't try to accomplish and do the whole room in one day. It's not going to happen. So don't set yourself up for failure. Tell yourself, I'm just going to focus on one drawer. I'm just going to focus on one bag, on one corner, on one pile, and that's it. And I guarantee you, once you change your perspective and change your focus on what it is that you really need to accomplish in that 1 hour, your whole what you focus on is going to expand, and that means it's going to help you have that focus. So the last slide here is you can scan it for free resources. If you want to come back, because we do this declutter class every month to help you and keep you moving in the right direction, please do. And recording of this workshop is going to be on our YouTube channel called At Home with Olga. And of course, as you might need any help, if you want to brainstorm ideas, I'm always here. I'm always around. It's not as easy as it may sound, but it's simple. It's just putting one foot in front of the other. So that's what I want to share with you today. I know that it's a lot, but I just invite you to think about this as okay, my first step may be just grabbing a notebook and jotting down my thoughts. And again, that is progress. So